Today, I'm gonna give you 5 more tips to take your video editing skills to the next level. Welcome back to Roy's Digital Workshop. I'm Roy, and whether you're a student of mine or a seasoned pro, these tips will help elevate your game from the ground up in video editing. Let's dive into Premiere Pro and unleash your creativity.
It's Pixel Pals. Pixel Pals. Tell your moms, kids, Pixel Pals.
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is keyboard shortcuts. Last week, I got a few questions about how to actually go ahead and access this. So if you're working in Adobe Premiere on a Mac, you would click Premiere Pro. I believe on Windows, it's in the edit menu and go down to keyboard shortcuts right here. Once you click that, you can see all your keyboard shortcuts that are currently situated on your keyboard. So if I want to go ahead and hit T, I would get my type tool. Y gets my slip tool. Last week, I went over how to make F2 and F3 lavender and mango. If I go ahead and do that again, select that. I'm gonna go to violet, click right over here where the shortcut is, and maybe I'm gonna hit F4, and basically that's gonna now give me those 3 up there. So I can go ahead and add them based off of whatever I want. Now if I hold shift, you're gonna see that my keyboard shortcuts change. Why? Because now if I hit shift, Y is not assigned to anything, but maybe I wanted to do something like, shift delete is ripple delete. That's something I use very often, and it's very easy for me to just hit shift and delete here on the keyboard. Same thing with command. If I go ahead and hold command, you can see that I don't have a ton of custom shortcuts here, but that is a way I can edit them. I can hit command 1 could be something that I want to add to it. Premiere Pro does come with a lot of shortcuts already established in it, but when I'm done, I'm gonna go ahead and just hit OK here down in the corner. And basically all my keyboard shortcuts that I made are going to be there. Now, I love using keyboard shortcuts. I use this rollerball mouse here, so my hands can be right here and I could be doing everything that I need to be doing in terms of video editing. So keyboard shortcuts really help me become efficient. The second thing I want to talk about is actually editing pre-built-in transitions. So there are pre-built transitions here. Right here, you can see that I have 2 clips. And if I go up to this menu here, the effects menu, and I click video transitions, there's gonna give me quite a few video transitions here that I can go ahead and add to my clips. So I'm gonna use this zoom, and I'm gonna just drag cross zoom in, and you can see that it allows me to add it to the middle, to the back end of the first clip, or to the front end of the second clip. And the reason why is because that's not the beginning and the ending of the clip. So let me go ahead and get that out of here. If I go ahead and add these clips back in, you can see that this is a much longer clip here. Okay, and if I do the interior one here, right now, when I go to effects and cross zoom, it's not gonna allow me to add it to the beginning or to the end over here. Why? Because there's no more footage here at the end. This is the end of the actual clip, and there's no footage here at the beginning because this is the beginning of the clip. So that's the reason why I can only add it in between, so Premiere knows to overlap the 2. If your video allows it to, an easy thing you can do is go ahead and shrink both edges here, and then delete the space in between, go back to cross zoom, and now you can see I can add it at the end of the clip and at the beginning of the clip, as well as in between the clip here. So marching back over to these clips down here, I'm gonna go ahead and add the cross zoom in between them. And then what I sometimes forget is that if you click on cross zoom, not the clips, but if you click on the actual cross zoom here, it's gonna give you some different effect controls that you can edit. Number one that I like to do is to show actual sources. The A and B cuts are great, but showing actual sources is gonna allow you to see where the transition is happening within your clip. So you could go ahead and you could start it later or earlier, whatever you want to do there. You can end it later or earlier, however you want to do. You can also go ahead and change where this cut is going to be. Now it's going to be highlighted if you can actually use it here, or it ends at the cut, I'm sorry. Or starts at the cut, so wherever you made your cut. Center at cut is also there where it kind of goes right through. So if we see this transition, it just kind of zooms in and zooms back out. So pretty basic, very effective if I want to use it. You can also custom start these by dragging them left and right, and it's gonna give you a custom start. And also you can change the length here if I want it to, for some reason, be slower in this first clip. and then faster in the second clip, I could do that as well. And I can do all of that in the effect controls menu here, which is a lot easier than trying to figure out how to click these and move them, and it's moving on both sides and, you know, all the other junk that happens. So transitions are great. The built-in transitions that Premiere adds are great. They're a great starting point, and for anybody new and starting out, they work effectively. Don't overuse them. If you overuse them, it really looks like a PowerPoint presentation. So tip 3 is how can we actually customize those transitions? So let's go back into Premiere Pro. And inside of here, we're going to use an adjustment layer. Now, you can click this little post-it note and go down to new adjustment layer. This post-it note stands for new item. I already have an adjustment layer here, so I'm just going to drag that over. You don't really have to worry about the length of the adjustment layer right now. You could leave it as is. But what I really want to do is I want to make sure I'm right in that middle. So we can see that the layer is activated. So if I hit up or down, it's going to allow me to jump to the front and the end of each clip that is on the activated layer. So I want to make sure that I'm right here at the transition part, at the cut, and then I'm going to click on the adjustment layer. Now what I want it to do is I want it to zoom in and then zoom back out. Now instead of using just the scale property that's already here, I'm going to go into effects and go to transform. And the reason why I'm going here is because I want to add a transform scale. So go ahead and adjust the scale to something large. Let's just say, I don't know, 357. That sounds like a good number. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the animation button to start a keyframe. I'm going to go back 8 frames. I'm going to add another keyframe here, but I'm going to change the scale to 100. Then I'm going to go to this cut frame again and go forward 8 frames and add another keyframe with 100 on the scale size. So basically what you can see happening is the adjustment layer is going to affect everything underneath it, and as you play through the animation, it's just going to get bigger and smaller, which is pretty much exactly what that jump zoom cut did. However, it looks very robotic. Just in and out at the exact same speed the whole time. You know, doesn't really look great to me. So now that I have these keyframes in here, I could right click on the first one, and I'm going to go down to ease out. Okay, I'll show you what that means here in a second. I'm going to right click on the second one and I'm going to hit ease in. Now without further looking into this, what you can see is that the speed or velocity of the animation starts off slower, gets fast right to the peak here, and then this peak starts fast and ends up slower. So it kind of gives you almost like a wave into it. If I hit this little arrow here, you can see that the visual representation is literally a wave. What I want to do is I want to focus on these 2 points down here. Focus on the ease in. And see this little handle here? I'm going to go ahead and just drag that to the right. I'm going to click here and I'm going to drag this handle to the left. And you can see our wave gets much more of a peak. So the speed or the velocity, what's going to happen is it's going to get very fast, then slow down. And now if we look at it, you can see it's much more whippy. It has a much more whip type of effect to it, right? So to me, that looks a little bit better. It's an easy way to hide your transitions. Let's take this even one step further, because if I'm looking at this, every frame that it is zooming in is within focus that the camera had, okay? And that actually is not how our eyes work. So why we didn't use the scale that's already on the motion of the clip is because this scale in the transform property allows us to add what's called shutter angle. And if we change shutter angle to 180, you can see that we get motion blur. So it starts off completely fine, but when you play through the animation, you get motion blur, which helps you hide the transition a little bit better. So as I play through, it looks like one smooth shot. So this is a great way to custom make transitions, and you can add so much to this, add any kind of effects you want to that adjustment layer, and they'll affect that transition underneath it as long as you're adjusting on the cut line. So tip number 4 is actually something that seems fairly easy, but something I just recently discovered, and that's going to be notes to your markers. So again, in Premiere, if we want to go ahead and add a marker to the timeline, as long as we're selected here on the timeline, I could go ahead and push M and it's going to give me a marker. And that marker allows my playhead to snap to it, which is kind of nice. It also allows me to make adjustments that kind of snap to it as well. But what if I want to label it? What if I have a bunch of mark? If you right click on the marker, you can actually go down to edit marker, and there's a bunch of options that you can add in here. So number one, you could change the marker color to whatever. Let's change it to this color here. You can add comments to it, and you can name it, and you can set its duration for a certain period of time. There's other options you could change here as well too, but when I hit OK, you can see that now it's this color. It says custom transition, which is what I typed in, and it lasts for the amount of time that I said it would last for. This is really great when editing music videos and you want to edit things on beat, or if you have different scenes that you want to make sure your clips fall into scenes, this is going to be a good tip to help out. I don't use markers as much as I should, and I know some of my students that I tell them to use markers for are gonna not be happy that I don't use markers as much as I should, but I'm trying to learn it better because it's really great for organizational purposes. Okay, so tip 5 is gonna be the benefit of nesting your sequences. Basically, what nesting your sequences does is it allows you to take multiple clips like this and package them together in order to edit that package. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose this. I'm just gonna call it clips or something. Hit OK, and what you can see is it changed those 3 items to 1 item. Because let's just say I wanna do something like add this crop to it. And maybe what I wanna do is I wanna add some fake black bars to it. So I wanna add 12% up at the top and 12% at the bottom. Okay, so that is gonna last through the whole period of my clip. However, I might also want to do other stuff. Maybe I want those black bars to come in. And if I were to do this animation and I'm not nested, I would have to do this to every clip, or there's other ways around it, but this is the best way. So let's go ahead and let's add a, So let's go ahead and let's add a top and a bottom keyframe here. This is where I want them to come in. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna make these 0. Then I'm gonna go forward and gonna go pretty far forward to about here. Let's add another keyframe and then move over the same amount of frames, and we're gonna go down to 0 again. And now what happens is you can see my black bars come in and then they go out. Again, they go in and then they go out. That crop effect actually just applies to the entire nest. It's kind of like layering it stack on top of each other. So hopefully at least one of those tips helped you out. If it did, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to Pixel Pals. We do a weekly podcast here on Fridays, and videos like this here on Mondays. We have funny commercials you can see on Sundays. We have shorts that come up every day. Just let us know. But for now, I'll see you Friday on the pod.